Let's start off with, we've talked about the condition that we were in a year ago in terms of our brigade combat teams, our readiness. We are, understandingly happy with what happened with our fiscal year 18 and fiscal year 19 budgets. The problem is that is good only up to fiscal year 20. Now, I think it's a good time to get on record. Let's assume that we, for some reason, had to go back to the BCA spending caps starting in 2020, and that we were not fortunate enough to keep up the increase that we achieved in 2018 and 2019. I'd like to have each of you express what our condition, the condition of our Army would be if that were to occur, and we had to go back to those caps. Secretary Esper.
Well, thank you for that question, Senator Inhofe. It's clear that what it would mean if we are unable to sustain funding is that we would revert back to where we were a few years ago, that we would reverse the gains that we are currently making with regard to either training readiness, equipment readiness, munitions purchases that are critical for war fights, and the personnel gains that are necessary to ensure that we have sufficient end strength to meet the demands of the combatant commanders and are prepared to execute the national defense strategy. So it would be a lost opportunity as we're really building momentum right now. I think to address Senator Reed's question, the critical thing is, as we continue to improve our readiness, which we've seen good growth in, is making sure that we can sustain it then through 20, 21, 22, because after 9, 10 years of war fighting and budget challenges, it will take many years to get back to the readiness posture we need to be in.
Yeah. Right. General Milley.
Yes, Senator, we've done extensive analysis over the last couple of years, just in the event that that were to happen. And if we went to sequestration caps, bottom line is for the ground force, the Army, we would end up essentially doing individual training and collective training up through squad level, and in some cases platoon level. Squad and platoon training an Army does not make. You've got to be able to do company, battalion, brigade, and so on. And training only at those levels and funded only at those levels would not work. Flying hours right now, we're coming in at close to 14 and a half hours with current budgets. We'll drop back to 10, 11, 12. That's not good for our aviation rotary wing. Home station training will come to a halt. The CTCs will come to a halt. It will not be good if we went backwards. And if the intangibles, the effect on morale, cohesion, enlistment, re-enlistment right now, in terms of re-enlistment, we've already exceeded our 18 re-enlistment. We're working on 19 re-enlistment, which is an indicator of morale is going up. All of those things would take steps backwards. So I would strongly encourage not to do that.
Yeah, I think it's important to get that out in the open now, talk about it now. Now, another area that I'm particularly interested in, of course, is our artillery, the fact that both China and Russia have passed us up in terms of range, in terms of rapid fire. And right now we're in a position we are working on the system to correct that, the PIM program. And of course, in my opening statement, I talked a little bit about what's happened in the past with the Crusader, the Future Combat System. But now we have this program that I think is going to put us in a position where we should be getting back up ahead of our adversaries. That's what we want to get done. Secretary Esper, can you articulate what your #1 priority is for modernization to meet the new national defense strategy? Let's start with that.
Yes, Senator. The Army has outlined 6 modernization priorities, beginning #1 with long-range precision fires, and the 6th being soldier lethality. With regard to long-range precision fires, we are pursuing technologies at the tactical, operational, and strategic level. So at the tactical level, as you mentioned, the PIM program is very important. At the operational level, it's the extended range cannon artillery. And at the strategic level, it would be hypersonics, the ability to really reach deep and in support of the Navy and the Air Force to do that. I will tell you that as I've traveled the Army in the 4.5 months and spoke to a few combatant commanders, they've also conveyed to me the importance, the criticality of long-range precision fires to their respective warfights.
That's good. And General Milley, just one real quick question as to your goal has always been to be up to 66%. We were actually, in my information was, we dropped down into our BCTs capability went down as low as 33%. Now I understand we've improved dramatically on that. We're going to continue to do it. But how close are we now to your goal, 66%?
Our readiness goal for the regular Army, the active duty Army, is 66% of all units, all types of units, brigade combat teams, logistics units, aviation units, et cetera. So 66% for the regular Army and 33% for the reserve component, both Guard and Reserve. We are not at those benchmarks right now, but we are working towards them, and we predict, given consistent funding, and if the world stays the way it is right this minute, then we should achieve those benchmarks sometime in 21, 22. We have made significant progress. What you're citing as 30% or so is from a year or so ago. We're for brigade combat teams, which is only one slice of the total force, we're in the range of the 50% mark. So we have made significant progress in the last 24 months.
Yeah, that's good. Senator Reed.